Are you right wing or left wing? My favorite wings are, um, honestly, I really like buffalo wings.
Yeah, no, I knew that.
Well, okay, cool.
But that's good you know that.
Appreciate it. All right. Hi, and welcome back to Through the Muck and the Mire. I'm your host, David Hallfield. And this is Max Eve. You should know Max from my first episode, which is interesting because he was my first guest, and now he's also my first live guest, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I get all the threshold movements.
Yeah.
Into greater things.
Max gets a lot of my firsts.
Yeah. Almost all of them.
So we're going to talk about the vice presidential debate. First, we're going to talk about polls. First, the CNN poll, which has Harris winning. I think most of the national polls that I'm aware of have Harris winning. But I went into the actual statistics from the CNN poll, and it breaks it down by demographics. First off, it's an independent poll done by SRSS is an independent company, so it's not like CNN did this poll on their own, like through random social media where they targeted a bunch of liberals. It was a legitimate poll, and you can find all that information online. But they did have a slightly bigger group of Democrats. It was like 38% Democrat, 29% Republican, and I think 33% independent or other. So automatically the Democrats have like a little bit of a advantage there to say that Harris would have won. But what they did is that they asked them these same questions back in the end of September, and then before the debates, and then they asked them the night of the debates after the debates ended. And so overall Harris won according to their poll. But like if you dig deeper into that, you'll see that between the pre-debate poll and the post-debate poll, she actually lost support from like 1% of Democrats, but she lost support from moderates and independents, and Pence gained support from moderates and independents. And then even within Democrats and Republicans, he gained like I think like 6% within the Republicans. It went from like 80 something to 90 something, and then she dropped from 97% to 96%. So it's just interesting. It just
percentage of people that watched it, yeah.
Well, yeah, out of the people that they polled, and it was like 603 people were the participants. Mm-hmm. They were randomly selected. They were phone call. It was all phone calls and stuff. So
that means like 35 people of those 603 liked Pence more. After, if you're talking about 6%.
6% what?
So that's about 36 people. 6% of 603. I mean,
where did you get 6% from?
Didn't you say 6% more? Pence went up 6%.
Oh, from the pre-debate question to the post-debate question. Yeah, no, just within the Republicans alone. They had like 85% of Republicans before the debate said, we think that Pence is going to win, and then after the debate finished, like 90-something% were like, yeah, he did win. And then on the contrary, 97% before the debate that were Democrats said, yeah, Harris is going to win this, and then 96% ended up saying that she actually did win it.
Gotcha. So she lost like 1%.
She lost 1%, and he gained like close to 10%, and he gained from independents and moderates. So overall, she still got the bigger percentage, but he actually like had a better performance, I guess you would say. From before.
I mean, he definitely did a good job lying super candidly. I think that Pence needed to have a huge performance and movement, much bigger than that, to call it a victory at all. Just in context of being down 15-ish points nationally.
Yeah, I think in the national polls reflect that Biden, and this also takes into account the fact that Donald Trump got coronavirus last week and other things that have happened since then. But from national polling from last week to this week, Biden is actually still increasing on national polls, despite whatever impact the vice presidential debates had. So
they usually have none, by the way. Like that's historically, I think the Michael Dukakis, election was maybe the last time there was ever even cited a clips from a debate, from a VP debate. But like usually it's less than a percentage point post VP debate.
I have honestly no idea about that. I just thought it was interesting to dig into those statistics.
For sure. No, I mean I would say that there's more weight on everything this election, like just the fact that there's already 4 million people that have voted versus like 40,000 in 2016.
Yeah.
So I think like everybody during any of the debates, president or VP, like only 10% of voters are undecided. I think it's single digits actually, but like we're just talking about them, and basically I think that this has a lot more weight on it because of how bad the POTUS like first president debate went and how there was no substance. Because I mean, you could say it's because Donald Trump interrupted 128 times, according to CNN, I think. But like, there was not much discussed. So I think a lot of people were taking refuge in this debate for the fact that there was going to be more substance discussed, and there was.
Yeah. No, I definitely. And if you can't tell, Max is definitely not on the side of Donald Trump.
No,
but
I
actually,
have criticism to deliver about Kamala too.
Well, yeah, I want to go ahead and put that out there first. I picked Max for this episode specifically because me and Max talk all the time, and he is left leaning. You're kind of like a Bernie.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I would call myself a progressive.
Yeah, you're not a fan of Joe Biden.
Not really, no.
Yeah. Okay. And he's been very capable of criticizing Democrats, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Anything that we talk about, we go back and forth, and we can have open, honest discussion.
Yeah.
He did say, I specifically looked for an independent person, like either a libertarian or just a self-proclaimed moderate independent that would argue to me that Harris won, because I think that Harris lost. You have conceded to me that even you think she didn't do well, and she probably lost.
Out of the context of the 15%, Joe killing it right now, I think if it was neck and neck, I would say she lost.
Okay, yeah, just based off their performance in the debate alone.
Right.
The VP debate.
Not the fact that they desperately need something other than Trump's tax returns or Trump getting COVID and making fun of it or something like that. Like, yeah. So,
yeah.
I think that she didn't do a good job in the substance of controlling Mike Pence and his, she should have known the way that he was going to handle himself in the debate and constantly lie candidly in a way not like Donald Trump, where he's like being belligerent and just speaking over the person.
What did he lie about?
Pence?
Yeah.
Well, I think first off, I'll say I shouldn't put the spotlight on him lying as much as him dodging questions. I think that I
think that's fair.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember. At least not right off the top of my head right now, being like, "Oh, that's bullshit." Like he's like telling a blatant lie. It might have happened, but
for example, like whenever he tried to defend him, usually his lies would come back to just President Trump and like him trying to. He has like this automatic like defend President Trump mode, and he even said he's a soldier. Like Kamala said that she would be a partner. He called himself a soldier, I believe. Taking orders, from Trump. So I feel like that kind of says it. Like I think he's just digesting Trump's lies for him, and when he has to be too specific, he won't go there. He just dodges it.
He's really good at it, though.
He is.
He's
super good at it.
Like a seasoned debater.
He scares the shit out.
He was calm, cool, and collected the whole debate. He never lost his composure. He was witty. He's quick on his feet.
He's like on some Valium, what's his name? Who was the doctor, the neurosurgeon, presidential candidate that Ben Carson.
Yeah.
Like he's taking what that guy takes, but he keeps like
I don't know.
no.
Ben Carson's on a wing.
I was gonna say for calmness, but he keeps like his like visceral, like his vigor and like
Ben Carson's on another planet.
No, for sure. Like I think he takes half as much as Ben Carson. That's what I was gonna say. Like call it Valium or Xanax or whatever. Like he's just able to.
Some people say he's just a sociopath.
Chill out. Yeah,
has no emotion.
He's very much like Christian Bale, American Psycho, whereas Trump would be maybe the Joker.
I
can
see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my hopefully this isn't the first time that you've seen this episode, or not this episode, but this podcast. But I'm, I guess, well, according to actual like political compass testing, like I am a right-leaning libertarian. I've been conservative most of my life, but because I support a lot of social issues, a lot of my Republican and conservative friends call me a liberal. But officially, I identify as a right-leaning libertarian, and my test scores support that. But I do think that Pence won the debate, and so I am definitely going to be defending him in this episode. But I don't want you to take that as me supporting Donald Trump and Mike Pence's presidency, because I'm voting libertarian, and I think that both Trump and Biden suck. So, carry on. Yeah.
So, I mean, my main thing is just that Kamala had plenty of time to, like, when she debated Joe Biden, I think that she put more, performed better than when she debated Mike Pence, which is ironic. But I was excited when she was announced as the VP, just because part of me looked forward to this moment. And, like, I felt like it would be, like, kind of like, Biden versus Paul Ryan. Did you watch that?
I didn't.
Well, I feel like it basically built expectations for this moment, which, as I said earlier, already has a lot of stacked pressure against it, more than a normal VP debate. Mm-hmm. But also, I was looking forward to, like, that is why I like her, is that as a prosecutor, I didn't like a lot of what she did, but I can say that she was good at it, and you should bring that to the debate stage and be able to just, like, dig into someone's skin, man, and to the issues. And she did that in the first 10 minutes, and then just kind of, I don't know where it went,
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment, and I think I expected more from her. I think it's funny. It's funny that you asked me if I watched the other VP debates, because I've literally never given any weight to a VP ever. Like, other than Dick Cheney, I don't think a vice president has ever really been relevant, as far as I know.
Well, I was pointedly just saying that Joe Biden, number one, he performed, if you compare his performance in 2012 against Paul Ryan with him today, mm-hmm. a lot has changed in 8 years.
Yeah, like Biden is not the same guy he was in 2012.
Right,
but
for sure.
But no, my point was that I wish, if I was Joe Rogan, I'd have my person off to the side and be like, hey, pull that up. But I'd like to see the number of people that watched the vice presidential debate this year compared to any other year in history.
Everything's going to be more this year. Everything. I mean, if you look at 2018 and the participants in voting in 2018, like what we're seeing now is just a snowball of that. Like the fact that we had record midterm voting, and it was a blue wave. Like, I think that no matter what, unless there's a miracle, you're going to see that transcend to now. And there's not going to be some emergency FBI James Comey saying we're investigating a presidential candidate 1 week out, which is why the polls were so wrong in 2016, largely because
That's one theory.
I mean,
we can go with
it was a week out.
I feel like the DNC and the liberal media and the... Sure. Yeah, I think that they were very... like, the whole thing was sketchy. I mean, saying that she was going to win by a landslide, even, this one investigation pops up a week before or whatever. the people that wanted Hillary Clinton to win still wanted Hillary Clinton to win, and they still love her to this day for the most part.
But we're talking about 80,000 people in Wisconsin, 40,000 people in Michigan, and 40,000 people in New Jersey, I think.
She still won. I mean, she still won the popular vote. I mean,
less than 100,000 people in 3 states. I'm just saying, like, if you are talking to something that drastic that happened last minute, we can probably dig up a single-digit percentage of people in those swing states that might have switched their vote. It's very possible.
Yeah, but what I was going against is that you said that that's why the polls were so wrong. I think that could have had a huge influence on whether the election went either way. But as far as the polls were like, she's going to win by 90%, like landslide victory.
Yeah.
I think the polls were complete bullshit in 2016. But I do agree that it could have been switched. You know.
I feel like we're tangled in a web talking about that because it's like she did win she still won the popular vote.
But not by a landslide.
Certainly.
All right, well, we've kind of gone off track here, which is fine, but let's get back to the VP debate because that's what this is about. But
is it?
Well, I mean,
I know.
It's cool. We can go wherever we want, but I do want to touch on some of the things that I think both people did.
So
poorly.
I said that I think she started out the best. She came out, real strong and articulate and fierce. And what I expected existed only in the first topic, the COVID question. She still didn't hit him for, and to be clear, like this is in response to, her saying that you knew January 28th what was going on. What would other people's responses have been if they had known that? If they had known that they could get their parents sick, if they had known that they needed more money in their account. She hit pretty much all the things that I would hit there.
Yeah.
But
that was a point where I said that Pence lied, to myself.
Sure.
I was actually watching it. I had my magnet mount, my phone in my car on the way home from school, and I was listening to it. But I was like, he's full of shit because he said, everything that Fauci told us, we told the American people.
Right.
And we've seen that that's not true because of the Woodward recordings.
Bob Woodward,
where he was like, I knew
19
it was
hours of not that. So
yeah, I knew it was worse than the flu, but I didn't want to tell anybody because I'm America's cheerleader or whatever.
Right. And that's the thing. And then she hit on, telling the truth is respecting the American public when he tried to say, his response was, it was both lying and dodging the question. He was just like, freedom to not wear masks. Next time I get pulled over for not wearing a seatbelt, I want to be like, freedom to not wear a seatbelt. Yeah.
For real though.
Freedom to smoke in this restaurant, in Applebee's, and get your kids' lungs all messed up from my cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And, we have we have regulations in place for these things.
I would make the argument that seatbelts are a bad one, but the smoking definitely is a good one because you actually it's very similar. Like your action is
more relevant.
It's actually affecting somebody else. But me not deciding not to wear a seatbelt is a victimless crime.
Right.
Nobody's going to get hurt.
The only way that becomes relevant is if it's a double seatbelt where, like, if you say I'm not going to wear a seatbelt, then you're choosing to take it off.
I'm keeping you from wearing your seatbelt.
Yeah. Then it becomes.
But anyways,
but yeah.
I digress.
So yeah, like I think that like she hit him well for that, but then like she totally missed the Rose Garden, like the moderator when she brought up, hey, you were front row in this shit.
Yeah.
A week ago, like she needed to hammer him for like how the hell have you been at the front of the task force this entire time, and like there's no defense for the fact that they have bombed this. Mitch McConnell today said he hasn't been to the White House since August because they flop on their regulations for COVID.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell said that.
Yeah, he said I stay away from, like basically said that. Like he said it in a more candid way, but prove me wrong on what the meaning is. But the point is they have not been taking it seriously
Yeah.
because it looks bad for them. I was surprised there was plexiglass put in last minute in the debate because that makes Pence look bad right there. That proves the point. We're 7-8 months into this and there's plexiglass like at the debate because you failed at containing the virus. That's what is in his head. But all he can bring up as a defense is freedom of American people, and I'm so proud of the American people.
I feel a little bit differently. I think that she could have come. Well, I think you said she could have come a lot harder. Like there's some things that she missed on that.
No, for sure.
I think that he actually did a really good job of bringing up good defenses to say how they did a great job, because. And that's why I say he came across to me as a very good debater, because he was like, oh no, we did awesome because we immediately shut down China, and Biden accused us of being xenophobes for it, but then Fauci came out and told us, Fauci and other people from the medical community said that's the the best thing that you could have done. You've saved millions of lives because you shut down travel from China, which I don't even think is disputable. Like that's absolutely, we should have shut down travel from China, and the entire world followed. Like Europe, everybody, too. Well, yeah, we should have. I think we did not too long after that though. But
no, it was 2 weeks later.
Yeah, but still,
one day during a pandemic is a very long time.
Yes, true.
So.
But he put the spotlight on the things that they did properly, and she didn't do a good job of countering. Like he
sure.
He was like, we shut down China. Biden called us xenophobes for it, but the medical community praises for it. And then there was some other stuff that he said.
She pointed out that he called it a hoax during this time. Like February was the timeline is just embarrassing, and historians will always have this timeline. Like I remember February 27th specifically, I think was when Trump said, it'll be down to 0 shortly. That was during the cruise ship was parked off the coast, and they wouldn't let the damn Americans off the ship. So it was like the worst human experiment ever. Like you're going to keep all these people in a petri dish because you're afraid of your numbers going up. Like he said it. Like so. Anyway, she could have. Like I would probably have difficulty because there's so much.
I feel like her. So my view of it basically was that to me, it felt like she was kind of nervous, possibly. Like you brought up the fact that she was a good prosecutor. She did a good job of stuff that we don't agree with.
I was going to address that. I don't think she was nervous at all. I think that her people taught her to do this little smile thing that ended up coming off as nervous.
No, that's not what I'm talking about at all.
Okay.
I don't care about the smile thing. I think that's...
Well, it looks condescending for sure.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it. It was like some Hillary Clinton shit, like some...
Yeah, but no, I'm talking about her ability to come back, and that's why I said he was quicker on his feet, he was a little bit wittier. She kind of froze up at points, and she had to repeat herself. Like she said the same exact thing multiple times, and it just came across as kind of unprepared and just I guess
Pence did that too, though. He just did it in a better way with maybe more synonyms.
My immediate thought was she's been in the public eye as a prosecutor and as a senator. She did the debates against the Democrats, and she did a good job kind of going back and forth with Biden, which honestly I think she had really good she had really good material against Pence and Trump too, but she had good material against Biden specifically because of the busing issue, calling him a racist, and his criminal justice legacy, even though hers isn't great either. But she didn't come out like that against Pence, in my opinion, and it seemed like
right,
the fact that this is a bigger stage. She's debating the vice president of the United States for the position to become the vice president of the United States. That's
after
kind of
this year
big
where
deal.
He was in charge of the task force. I'm glad that I'm not saying that she bombed this topic, the COVID topic, but because that would really suck.
She could have done better, for sure.
But she could have done way better. I would have even said, like, you could have hammered him for, like, obviously, so Biden, the campaign pulled ads against Trump on Monday that criticize him specifically while he has a virus that might technically kill him, because they wanted to be Democrats and be nice. So, that's cool. But now that we're here, like, I would have even been like, why did he get COVID? And, like, why is he still, like, one day before he released publicly anyway that he had COVID, he was mask shaming Biden for having the biggest mask I've ever seen, even if he's 200 feet away from you. Like, he was still doing that.
Yeah, that's pretty ironic.
Yeah. And, like, bring that up and bring up, like, did he, I mean, maybe
She did bring up the fact that he got COVID, and his retort to that was, we go through all kinds of testing and this and that. Like, he definitely tried to defend it, but
I was going to say, like, just his lunacy. Like, there's so much there that you could unmask, no pun intended. Like, the bleach. Like, did he...
But to that point also... sorry, go ahead about the bleach.
I was just going to say, at Walter Reed's, did he ask for Lysol?
A bleach injection?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so what I was going to say is, like, first off, no matter how careful you are, especially in the position that they're in where they're constantly around people, it's inevitable that they're going to get it. And honestly, it's amazing that they haven't gotten it yet. Like, it took 8 months.
I disagree. I think that Biden, you don't see major Democrats getting this stuff right now because they are more careful. It's factual. It's sad. I told you at the beginning of this thing.
Are you not surprised that Donald Trump didn't get it in March or April?
I'm super surprised. Well, no. I'm actually... Like, I'm surprised and I'm not because of how much of a germaphobe he is and how much he revealed through the Woodward tapes that he was worried about it. And it made me wonder, like, was he just wearing a mask, like, every time he was not around reporters?
Just when the camera's not on.
Yeah, like, because his stunt on Monday, like, where he fucking, like, climbs the stairs and it looks like he's about to just die.
Rips the mask off and then he's like...
Yeah. He looked as vulnerable as he did after the Tulsa rally where he was, like, took off his tie and, like, makeupless and stuff. And,
It's actually kind of funny, too, because, so a buddy of mine, he was actually supposed to be with us tonight, Jim. He has his own podcast that you guys should all check out called Ignore the Rant. But I listened to their critique of the presidential debate, and they were saying in the debate, and he's like, he's a libertarian too, but he tends to be more conservative, Republican-leaning libertarian than me. They were even saying, like, wow, he looks like shit, And it's, we don't know if he was sick then yet or not. Yeah, he probably was. But they were like, wow, dude, Donald Trump looks like shit in this debate.
Right. And the thing is, Trump puts a lot of effort into not looking like shit. All the tans and all the hair, $70,000 worth of hair.
No, he was visibly exhausted, and he was just, like, leaning over the podium, like, he wasn't his normal, lively self.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I joked the other day, I wonder if he, when he took his Secret Service to risk their lives to drive him around the block Sunday night from Walter Reed's when he had COVID, maybe he was just trying to, like, meet his Adderall dealer. Because, like, I feel like maybe that was before he had COVID that night. But I don't know. Yeah. I think he just has a very... he is so afraid of looking like... or not being stimulated and looking vulnerable. And it is the reason a lot of people vote for Joe is because he has some empathy. He's lost family members in public situations. Like, he's kind of had to deal with his publicity in a different way. Whereas Trump was made famous by saying, "You weren't born here," to the first black president. Yeah. So I think it...
Well, he wasn't made famous by that, but...
famous as a politician, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
As a politician, his political career, like, the people began shouting, "Run for president," after he started the birther movement. Okay, that's what I meant.
That's, Fair.
Thank you. Anyway, so I think that she definitely could have done more on the COVID stuff. I think after that they went into like the economy, and I mean she got steamrolled a couple places. I think like one of her.
I think he killed her with the economy.
Yeah, I think like she could have easily hit him back for the economy not being the stock market. Some of these things I have to remember if she did mention it or not, but I know that like bringing up the fact that the stock market is 85% the 1%, and then 60% of Americans don't own stock, so it's just not any indication of much. And you guys did a great job of making sure that people think that because of the $2 trillion tax cuts to the 1% and stuff. Like the people, I mean, they did bring that up a lot, but I would have liked to see more. Yeah,
and I think that he drove home some good points about their tax cut, putting money in people's pockets. I think he said it was like something around $2,000 per person per year was like the average savings that they made off of the tax cuts. People get kind of confused with that because their tax returns might have been lower, but they actually had more money in their pocket throughout the year. And then he brought up unemployment rates and also manufacturing jobs. And so what I think that he did a really good job of was bringing up points and using kind of liberal sources to back them, to kind of throw it in their face. So I already said the thing about Fauci. He used Fauci as a source to say,
which isn't even a liberal source.
Well, it's not. So it's not a liberal source, but it's a source that liberals.
Yeah,
but a source that liberals use.
The people that like science.
Sure, but
I'm just gonna leave that on the ground.
But so my point is though, he used Fauci for coronavirus, and they're because Democrats are obviously like, well, it's science. He's the medicine guy. Like we're gonna listen to him, and so he used him to support his coronavirus argument. And then when he got to we were talking about manufacturing jobs. He said, okay, well, the Obama-Biden administration lost 200,000 or 300,000 jobs to China, and then we brought 500,000 manufacturing jobs back to the United States when Obama said it was going to be impossible and that you'd need a magic wand to do it. And then later he used the moderator's own journal article against them for their Green New Deal, saying that it basically wasn't anything different than AOC's Green New Deal, which they've adamantly said that they don't support.
Sure.
So I think that just pointing out, I think he did a really good job of making good arguments.
Yeah.
And which I don't know. I haven't fact checked the manufacturing job claim, and I haven't looked at any of the fact checking websites for this entire debate whatsoever. But he did a good job of bringing those points home, and he did a good job of using their own kind of sources against them.
For sure. I think on the climate stuff, like, that should have been, her whipping out the latest and most ominous facts that support climate change. Yeah. You want more beer? Yeah.
Cerveza.
And because, I mean, we've just learned, for example, recently, cheers. Yeah, we like good beer here.
We do.
The hazy kind.
I like all beer.
Really
if it has
beer.
alcohol in it, I like it.
You saved me a little bit in that case. It's been hard to appreciate this year what's going on beyond COVID, but it's just study after study that is ominous for climate change being something, for example, that with COVID, take Governor DeSantis in Florida, who was all like, it's never going to be a problem here because Florida's special and people can't spread the disease because we're outside, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it spreads and they're getting nationally or globally, noticed for this virus. And that's what he cares about more than the fact that it's lives being lost. But you can roll back everything and say, let's close bars, and then it's okay. But with climate change, you cannot do that.
Mm-hmm.
And what Republicans or conservatives tend to do, because, I mean, there's about 30% of Republicans that believe in climate change, but it is basically say that the science that makes them look bad is not true, or just try to mask it the best they can. And that's what's been happening to muzzling Fauci and the rest of his task force. Roberts, that, like, was pretty pro-Trump, and then had plenty of sources say that she was complaining, and all this, like, it's very commonplace to see with COVID or climate change. And you can't, my point is, you can't roll back that curtain on the world, on the environment, like we can with the disease, and saying, go home. Okay, we're going to close bars for a while.
Right.
We were wrong. It's a big deal to me. And I don't think the Green Deal will be like, a thing this time around, but I think that we need to figure out attributes to that way of thinking. But certainly she could have torn that apart better than letting him just make this giant issue about fracking and just kind of let him get away with that and say, like, no, we aren't going to ban fracking. Like, and yeah, sure. I mean, in my opinion, I wish you would. But it's like, he just got away with making all of this, like, terrifyingly, multi-generational issue about, like, something the size of one town in Pennsylvania kind of thing. So it's like...
Yeah, so my take on that was, first off, I think that was the question that when she specifically said, do you agree that climate change is an existential threat to the world? He literally was just like, well, the climate is changing. And then he literally just changed the subject completely, diverted it back to Kamala, and then when Kamala didn't answer whatever stupid question that he changed it to, he said, quit giving me non-answers, when he literally just diverted away from the actual question and that was being asked to him at the point. But what I thought that he did good in that was talking about the Paris Climate Agreement, which I agree with. The fact that I don't care if we pulled out of it or not, and that's the point. It's because it's a non-binding agreement that doesn't do shit.
The whole reason they pulled out of it was
shake my hand right now and tell me that we're gonna make a change. Here, shake my hand right now. Do it. We're gonna make the world a better place. Nothing has to come from that. We just made it a bullshit agreement, and we feel good about it because we both committed that we're gonna make the world a better place.
That's fine, but you can't just like say that that's a step backwards.
He went on to say we don't need the Paris Climate Agreement because you can look at what the United States has done since we left the Paris Climate Agreement, and through innovation and free market and less regulation, we've reduced our carbon footprint. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the United States is like leading the world in reduction of emissions.
Well, it damn well better be, because it's one of the most to have emissions in the first place. But if you're talking about in a per capita kind of way, no, that's not true. And look, I didn't come armed with all my facts on this stuff. So, if you want to do that another day, we can. It's a lot of numbers, but I know that, first of all, having basically every, I think 175 countries in the world, including North Korea, acknowledge that climate change is a thing, even a thing. Like I said, there's still 60% of Republicans that won't do that. Maybe it's half now.
Have we decided what kind of climate change it is?
Well,
is it warming or
just
cooling?
Because Al Gore was part of the whole it's global warming thing, like, look, and this is the problem. Like, I'll criticize Al Gore all day, like him coming out and not being a scientist and for personal gains in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he probably did care too. But I mean, he at any rate smeared a lot of facts with his documentary 18 years ago.
Yeah.
And it created this it created the partisan view of climate science.
Yeah. I think according to him, 7 years ago, the world should have ended. I think the polar ice caps were supposed to melt completely by 2013. According to him.
And this is the problem. Like, now we have San Francisco, is the sky is orange, and Mike Pence sure can go on all day about hurricanes being bad 100 years ago and stuff. But the fact is, minuscule parameter changes in climate make a huge difference for these kind of things. 1 degree.
Yeah.
And Al Gore, yeah, sure, got that wrong because he's not a fucking scientist. But the fact is, if the sea level rises 3 feet, which it's predicted to 6 or 7 feet, within decades, and if the overall average climate changes 1 degree Fahrenheit, this is a huge deal because that means it's an average. It means it's a lot worse in other regards, but it also means less, for example, more fresh water is getting into the ocean, so you have the ocean currents not work because the salinity of the water is all thrown off and it doesn't sink and create the currents. That's what's happening.
Could you answer this for me though, if you know? This is getting a little bit off topic. We're getting into the weeds on climate change right now, and I honestly will tell you, I don't know that much about the specifics of everything. Right now is the consensus that the world is getting hotter. That's our climate change is getting warmer,
asking,
right?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Oh no, that's not what I was asking before, but that's what I'm asking now.
Absolutely. And
honestly, I'd rather just let the professionals do it. I'm just trying to.
And that was my original point.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to make sense of things that I've seen. That I'm not saying I'm a climate denier. I'm absolutely not, and I definitely don't think that.
You want to know to what extent?
And I don't think that there's no argument in my mind that reducing carbon emissions and stuff like that is good in general. Just a logical argument. Obviously, it's not good to breathe in shit. So regardless of whatever effect it has, us trying to be healthier and try to be cleaner is a good thing regardless. So
this is why, but my point is, and why I brought it up, is because it's one of the most important issues to me. And I would say anybody with a child, it should be the most important issue too, because this is going to affect
futures.
Yeah, it's going to affect them a lot more than us. And all these other things, we don't have the luxury of debating if we don't have a fucking world to debate it in.
Yeah.
So
true that.
I think that people are, from traveling a lot, I think people look to us as very similarly to our COVID response with climate. It's just man, these guys say they're the greatest country in the world, huh? And it's I feel like it's a fine line to walk that line, to criticize why we could be better. It's patriotic to say why we could be.
I feel like it's. I think relying on the government to mandate us to do better isn't the answer. And carbon taxing is not you creating a carbon tax is not going to make the fucking Earth's atmosphere temperature drop.
No,
it's not. But I think regulations make things worse, and I think taxing, I think taxes are, we do need taxes. I'm not one of those libertarians who's fuck all taxes. Obviously we need taxes to pay for
roads.
Well, I think roads could be taken care of privately.
USPS.
I actually know, and if you watch this, you know who you are. I know somebody that's a director of the DOT, and he has told me that they spend their money they have a certain amount of money that they get allocated, and they at the end of their budget, they're like, oh shit, we've got thousands and thousands of dollars that we haven't spent it on. Let's figure out how we can spend this so that we don't get less money next year. And that's like one of the biggest issues with the government being in control of so many things is because they're so inefficient.
Have monetarization.
There's no accountability, and they're inefficient with their money, and they're just like, we have to figure out a way to spend all their money so that we can ask for more money next year, even though we don't fucking need it. But my point is, innovation. American people want to create a better environment. Like, you probably know this better than I do. What's like the overall American population's opinion of climate change and like making the world a better place? Like, is it?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking.
The majority wants it, right?
Over 66%.
Okay, so over 60%, over 66 or whatever it is percent of Americans.
Basically, anytime half.
What do you think that they're doing without the government telling them to do it? They're buying cleaner products, right? And if they have businesses, they're making decisions to have cleaner products, right?
Right, but we waited a long time to do anything, so what seems like progress, trying to think of a good metaphor. We are like, at the tip of the iceberg of doing something about it just by acknowledging it in a majority. But I just appreciate science. And the original topic was Kamala did not do a good job defending science in that question. And it's been proven over and over again that the Trump administration is anti-science. And I think that you can, we could argue that one all day.
I know, I think that she did a great job with that. And she was like, you literally took the word science out of, like, whatever the official web page was.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I mean, like, she did a good job in some sense, but she
saying that they were anti-science.
Yeah, she could have done a better job and given more examples. And it's exhausting thinking about how they don't give a shit, dude. Just I feel like the gesture of allowing Dr. Fauci to become a villain to, everyone from the Proud Boys to the Fox News show to the Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson's. Like, I watch those shows sometimes, believe it or not. So she could have hit all of that, but she combed over it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think that also is the format of the debates is bullshit. Let me ask you this super nuanced question about climate change, and you get 2 minutes to say all of the greatest things that you can say about in your 2 minutes. It's not realistic. There's no way that you can really form the most cohesive argument in 2 minutes. These things need to be talked about in long form, the same way that you and I are talking about these things right now. Maybe ask fewer questions and give them longer times, and then give them more debates to talk about it, so that they can actually have a full discussion about all of the intricacies and all the nuances that you and I are talking about right now.
Right.
Because this whole you've got 2 minutes, and then I'm going to call you out on something, and then you get 15 seconds to respond. What the fuck are you going to say in 15 seconds? No, that's not true.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's even worse when there's several of them,
Oh yeah, the fucking the Democratic National or whatever the Democrat debates was 20 people, and it's
well, they were divided, but yeah, they were all. I mean, the RNC didn't know better handling Trump's bullshit, and it would be
But they didn't have 20 people. Well, are you talking about
2016?
From 2016 you're talking about?
Yeah.
Obviously not this year.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying they actually had more people on stage, I think, than the Democrats at any point.
They might have.
Because they didn't split it up.
Right. But I don't
so
think
they'd be like, all right, Lindsey Graham, we're going to let you talk for 8 minutes. We're going to let Marco talk for 7. And And by the way, there were 72 minutes during the VP debate of talking, and Kamala had 3 minutes more than Pence.
She talked for 3 minutes longer than Pence did?
Mm-hmm.
See, I saw that they had the same.
That was according to ABC.
Pence had a couple seconds more than her. And from my brain that doesn't have an automatic timer, I thought that Pence talked more than she did.
That's what most people thought, but
well, he definitely did for at least the first hour. I'd be interested to see like a live, if you could like speed it up and just watch like how that timer went back and forth throughout the debate. I think that he owned it. He walked all over that moderator for the first at least hour.
Mm-hmm.
Just fucking.
But in a candid way, in an effective way.
Yes, yeah, for sure. But
not in a Donald Trump way.
Yeah, definitely not in a Donald Trump way. But like that moderator was weak. Like she did not.
Mm-hmm.
She did not.
Yeah, Chris Wallace was a better moderator than her, but he inherited like the worst fucking bull off a leash kind of debate to moderate.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, to wrap up, I guess other points. I feel like healthcare was another thing that she like started to hit on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think she said, if you have pre-existing conditions, if your mother or father, are ill, they're coming for you.
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah, the fear mongering was good on that one.
Well, in fairness, what I'm saying is she should have, when Pence said, we have a plan.
What is your plan?
What the fuck is your plan?
Yeah. No, that's what I was thinking. And I was thinking the same thing in the presidential debate because Trump kept saying it.
Like,
he's been saying it for fucking
do you have
who even knows how long.
Yeah. Why not in the last 4 years make this secret plan known to people so that they don't think that you're going to fuck them over like you did with the pandemic? Because...
yeah, Pence talked that up real good. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. Like, we're going to make sure everybody's taken care of. All pre-existing conditions will be
The fact
accepted.
is people do not trust them on healthcare at all. And people don't necessarily love Obamacare. I don't love Obamacare. I'm on Obamacare as an entrepreneur. So, there's that. But at the same time, I know 23 million people have health insurance now that didn't in 2009. So that's pretty significant. And pre-existing conditions are covered. Mm-hmm. So you're going to choose this time to take that away? And, like, I feel like it's easy to get this angry. Like I'm not angry, but I'm angry about this issue.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking about life and death with a lot of people. And she kind of started delivering that, but I feel like the rebuttal was just there to put Pence on the spot because he doesn't have an explanation beyond we have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And his vague ass bullshit. Like he's
non-answer.
The vague master, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it really is. And she did a good bit of that too, question dodging. I would say her worst question dodge was on expanding the Supreme Court, which they definitely have to decide on a stance soon. They're probably going to keep waffling on it as long as they can.
Mm-hmm.
But personally, I'm okay with like after the Republicans completely losing all, any bit of dignity on what they said in 2016. You got to bring shit to a shit fight, and 66% conservative does not represent America. We've talked about this, and I know that you disagree with that number being that starkly that number, because, I mean, I'll agree Gorsuch has been impressive for some of his votes, but when we're talking about defending, say, the challenging of mail-in ballots that come in 3 days too late or something. It becomes quite an appropriate thing to be concerned about. But also about abortion and it's not fear-mongering to say that Roe v. Wade could be overturned with a Barrett confirmation. I would say it's possible it's not, but I would also say it's more possible than it's ever been.
Yeah. If it comes up, it's absolutely a possibility. Which is actually interesting. Today in my con law class, we studied a case about FDR. We were just talking about federalism in general, and their FDR actually tried to pack the courts during his New Deal.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what was happening is Congress was pushing all this legislation to try to get what they thought was appropriate for the country to help them recover from the Great Depression, and the Supreme Court kept kicking it out, saying, "Hey, that you don't have the power to do that according to the Commerce Clause. The Constitution doesn't give you that authority." And eventually, FDR and Congress FDR I guess mostly got fed up with it and was like, "Look, the Supreme Court is full of old people that are maybe not in the right mind to be making these decisions, and we need to pack the court to basically put it in our favor so that we can start getting decisions for what we want." He didn't word it like that, but that was the gist of it. It was like, hey, if you guys keep kicking out our legislation or Congress's legislation, then we're going to pack the courts to make sure that we pick justices that will support our legislation. And that provision or that proposal got rejected eventually. He didn't get to pack the courts, so that is a little piece of precedence there that Congress back then decided that wasn't the right move to do. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg said as much in 2016. She said that the court is supposed to not be partisan, and the ultimate show of partisanship for the Supreme Court would be for an opposing party to come into power and immediately pack the court just to get decisions in their favor.
Court with my point is, the last Democratic nominated judge was a Republican. So, yes, it would be partisan if you said we're going to create 5 new seats and make them all Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
You're saying if they evened it out, if they were like, okay, we're not going to make it a supermajority in either direction, we're going to make sure that it's just not a majority.
Sure.
I feel like that's a fair...
And I feel like based on what the past is, that's more likely than not.
I feel like the Democrats at this point, especially... Yeah, I don't agree with that whatsoever. I think the Democrats now, things have become so hyper-partisan that I have absolutely no faith that either party would do that. I don't think...
Even since Obama nominated Merrick Garland.
I think Obama is an exception. I think Obama is a very respectable person, and I don't think that the Democrats that are in office right now are representative. I don't think Obama is representative of Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats that are there.
But Biden. I know you don't like Biden. I'm just saying that...
I don't know.
I feel like he would have at least one Republican. Like, we don't even know what number...
Biden is kind of Johnson, a conservative Democrat.
By the way, Pence did lie, I think, last night when he said it's been 150 years since they've added judges, because with Johnson, Congress added removed a judge. Sorry. Maybe he didn't lie, because they removed a judge. But it's kind of the same thing. They removed a judge so President Johnson couldn't nominate a judge. Then they returned the 9th judge.
Okay, yeah.
So that happened. And basically these things there's been like 15 times that the Supreme Court number has changed.
Yeah.
So, but my point is, wouldn't you rather that be done by the party that's not trying to swindle via saying, all right, this year we're going to say that a year out from the election or 9 months out from the election, we can't nominate a judge because we got to wait, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And that be a Republican anyway that was nominated by an opposition party, and versus a week out, we're going to force a hugely conservative judge to come in there and just concrete, Mike Pence, which he dodged this question completely about abortion in Indiana and stuff. Like, he dodged it completely because he knows it's not popular.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that he's a zealot, man. Like, he knows it, maybe. But
hopefully.
Yeah. The fact is, if this is going to happen, I think the better party to do it is the one that at least, I guess has less balls, as I said earlier, but plays by the rules more. I think that Democrats are basically centrists, largely. Joe Biden certainly is. It's one criticism I think that it's hard to have. Like, he's not super left or anything, but he'll have Republicans in his cabinet. I think he's just as capable of nominating a Republican judge as Obama.
Yeah, I could see that. I think it's actually funny that people argue that they try to call him a communist or socialist or any of that
Trump.
kind of shit.
It's Trump.
It's really stupid because Joe Biden is like probably, if not the most conservative Democrat that there is, one of the most conservative Democrats that there are. And Hillary Clinton was too. They're not super left-wing progressive. He's fucking literally wrote the crime bill that, put the war on drugs up on a pedestal and created all these terrible sentencing things. They deported a lot of people. They're fucking war hawks. I mean, they're not these communist, super left-wing liberals that the Republicans try to act like they are. So.
Oh, you saved me some of this. Thank you.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Nice. Hold on, I think I had one other thing.
Oh, you got notes?
Something, yeah. Well, the other thing I was going to say is that Pence specifically painted all protests as violent during the riot protest question.
Did he?
Yeah. And, I mean, I don't know if that was an off-the-cuff thing or if it was him going into it from something else. But 93% of protests, this is something we agree on, are peaceful. But that is the number, 93%.
Yeah. I've been to some of them myself.
Yeah, we both have. So I think that maybe this stemmed off him lying and saying that Trump did not denounce the Proud Boys and denounce specifically. Well, we will disagree on this because you said earlier that there's been several cases Trump has denounced white supremacy, but he refuses to do it in a moment where I guess maybe in his narcissism it delivers a win.
I agree with that. I've been very critical of that. So people get pissed off because I'll point out the fact that he has repeatedly denounced hate and white supremacy and stuff like that, just in general in different conversations. But the problem is that, and I think Pence, a point for Pence in this is that he took the Charlottesville misrepresentation from Kamala and pointed out that this is the media misrepresenting the facts. And in Charlottesville, he said that the debate over statues, over Confederate statues, has fine people on either side, but the hate groups and the white supremacists, like, he adamantly
I don't agree with that at all.
What, that you can't defend a Confederate statue and be a fine person?
No, I don't agree with that was the context to which Trump meant.
Have you read the entire text of that? That's literally what he said. They were talking about, like, the people that were there, and he said there's fine people on either side. They were talking about the debate over Confederate statues. So there's fine people on either side, but then he went on to literally specifically say white supremacy and, like, whatever other, like, hate groups are completely unacceptable, and they have no place in America.
I know that. I mean, it was.
And there's a 3 to 5 minute video of a compilation
3 years ago.
Hold on.
I read this. Go ahead.
There's a compilation that's 3 to 5 minutes long of Donald Trump since 2015 to current day over the span of the last 4 years saying in multiple settings and live recordings that he denounces hate groups, Nazis, white supremacists, the Klan
versus actions.
That's where the argument needs to go, and I 1000% agree with that.
Right.
And I also agree with the fact that he didn't do it in the presidential debate when he should have, because that was a place where the media didn't have a chance.
It's idiotic.
The media didn't have a chance to fucking cut in and cut his video out. You know, it's not like, you know, Democrats were watching.
Not only did he not do it, he said, "Stand by."
I think that was like so the question was, will you tell the Proud Boys and white supremacists to stand down or something like that?
He said, "Stand back and stand by."
Yeah, I feel like he's just
stand
like,
down.
Okay, so he's like, okay, say this specific wording, and then Trump is a fucking idiot. So he said, stand back and stand by. Like he's just trying to find whatever.
I agree. I don't think his mind works that fast to have told like his like own little like coup regime of people to like. I don't think it's like that. Like a lot of liberals do. But I also think that he is desperately afraid, being 16% down, losing any of his voters, including white supremacists.
I can agree with that.
And that maybe that reel of him saying otherwise, it would be a bad time for him to continue the reel, even if he's already said it other times.
You know what actually I think would be a genius idea for him to do? Would to be, instead of making or supporting these bullshit, stupid, like, Biden's America, and he shows like cities burning down that are literally Trump's America, to show
that was the other point.
That compilation of him repeatedly condemning white supremacy. Like, why would you not? Because you're right, he doesn't want to lose those votes.
That's why.
But he would get. Well, I don't know if he would get.
And
I don't know if he would,
just so everyone's aware, 6% of America is white supremacists. That is not a lot of people.
Yeah, so you're not going to lose a lot of votes,
and
you have the potential.
All of those votes are him.
Potential to gain a lot of at least respect and at least like spread the truth for people to know that you actually have said this.
Yeah.
Like, put that information out there.
Let me put it this way: all of those votes are for him, so that 6% just got a lot more than you would think. If you said 12% of America is doctors, which is not true, but if it was. You could say that maybe 12% of America's truck drivers, because it's almost true, of the adult working force. But those will still be divided. Maybe not, but like that percentage will be divided.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But now you're saying all of that is him. So that might as well be 12% divided. It's the 6% that's his.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? So he's probably just like terrified. He obviously is, because he's spitting out like, oh, let's arrest Obama and Biden. Of course, can't arrest Obama without Biden. But now he's bringing that back. Like, he's making Hail Marys left and right.
Arrest all these people while this radical group of people just tried to do a citizen's arrest, which is also called a kidnapping.
Right.
Of the governor of Michigan.
While he's on...
Liberate Michigan.
Right.
By kidnapping the fucking governor.
While he's on COVID drugs. Thus prompting Nancy to say, like, we need to question whether or not...
he's sane.
Yeah. And that means give Pence power, by the way. So... until
January 20th, if they were to win.
Well... unless it's saying specifically while he's on these drugs, because then that would just mean until.
Oh, just until, yeah. Well, yeah.
Upon transparency,
if that's what their concern is that it's just the COVID drugs, then yeah.
I would say.
But if it's just in general that he's a fucking lunatic.
I would say that Tuesday what he did was completely out of character, and. I personally have people that up until now, this was the thing. that made them not vote for it.
Interesting.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like, and that to be clear is him tweeting at 3 p.m. We're gonna just talk about the Supreme Court and forget about the stimulus until I'm reelected.
Benching the entire stimulus.
But then when I'm reelected, biggest stimulus ever.
Yeah, and then a couple hours later, Pelosi, you better pass the stimulus shit right now.
Yeah.
To me, I don't think that that's anything out of the ordinary from Donald Trump whatsoever. I think that he's a jackass, but I don't think that that's some kind of like
for him to make the market
wild.
For him to make the market
deviation from his norm,
take his market and not make that a variable in what he says, is completely out of character, I think. And for him, like, he knew what the Fed, Jerome Powell, like, said hours earlier.
Yeah,
there will be a crash without a stimulus. He knew that. He had to have known that.
Yeah,
it was relevant to that.
To my buddy Thomas's point, the defense of that is that he's forcing their hand on purpose, and that he knew if he pulled it off the table,
but Pelosi's not going to take. Pelosi's not going to take a bill that's all airline bailouts and stuff. Like,
but he said separately that if you just like a single item bill to pass $1,200 a month per person, that he would sign it, separate of the airline and business thing, I believe.
Yeah, I guess I gotta catch up on that. But.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll fact check it before I post this, and I'll put if there's a correction that needs to be made, I'll put it on the screen. But yeah.
Oh boy.
But I think we need a refill, so let's go ahead and end this. And are you still are you still taking new music clients, or are you still painting for people?
I am mainly taking Zoom guitar lesson clients.
Okay, so Max is an artiste in multiple ways. He's a great musician, and he's also an artist. He's done murals for some of the local breweries in Georgia. So
I'm painting for people too. Yeah, I should say that, but it takes a long time for me to do. So
yeah, I mean that's like a business, and it's a long-term project kind of thing. But if you're interested in learning music, or you have a child that you would like to learn, he's doing Zoom sessions. So where would they reach you at?
Max Eve. It's like Christmas, but Christmas Eve. But yeah, you'll probably see it, I guess, written out in text below the Spotify. But MaxEveMusic.com.
Yeah.
Maybe you can.
I'll link it, and check out his music. He's really great. If you live in Gwinnett, he also plays live shows, and sometimes. Are you gonna get back into doing any kind of Zoom shows or?
No? You mean? Yeah. I've got a band that I'm working with on that. We're kind of fighting Facebook changing its protocols on that too.
Oh
so might have to move to the Twitch world. That seems to be what people are doing. But I predict that because of Donald Trump, the pandemic's going to probably get worse in the winter, and I'll be forced to do that anyway. So
yeah,
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, well, support your local artists if you live in Georgia, and especially Gwinnett. But thank you for coming, and congratulations on being my first live guest. I hope
it's a very roomy room.
I hope people don't hate it.
A lot of feng shui here.
Is there some feng shui in here? There's You guys can't see it. There's an American flag over there. There's a bulldog flag.
They probably see it in other posts.
No, I don't ever have anything facing that way. And I've actually thought
You're embarrassed of your Georgia?
Absolutely not. I love the Bulldogs.
Well, maybe you should point it that way sometimes.
Maybe I will. It's not a Falcons flag. I'd be embarrassed of that.
I don't know anything about sports.
Yeah, no, it's just more convenient with the way the desk is faced to face this stuff. But
yeah. And
I just recently finished.
Smells of rich mahogany. And dogs.
Whatever that bullshit Target candle is.
Yeah, and dogs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I have 2 German Shepherds that live in here. But yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm sure I'll be having Max on again soon to speak about Citizens United.